I have absolutely no problem with you sticking around, but if we do, we're gonna have to have some ground rules, all right? You cannot just go around eating anybody that you want to.
I cannot.
No, you cannot. All right, we need to reiterate this. There are good people in this world, a lot of them, and then there are bad people. You have to tell the difference. The deal is you will only ever be allowed to touch, harm, hurt, possibly, very possibly, eat very, very bad people, but never, ever, ever good people. All right?
Fine.
Good.
But how does one tell the difference?
Well, it's super simple. I mean, you just have to, like, you can intuit it, you can sense it, sometimes you can even feel it.
Whatever you say. But can we get something to eat now? Otherwise, your liver, it's starting to look really, really good and juicy.
Yeah, definitely. I know a place down here. Hey, Mrs. C.
How you doing, Eddie?
Ain't nothing changed but the weather, you know.
No.
So, what culinary delights will tickle the pickle tonight?
Tater tots and chocolate.
Right, okay, no problem.
The payment's due, Chan.
Please, I can't keep doing this.
Now.
Bad guy, right?
Yep.
You come in here again. In fact, you go anywhere in the city preying on innocent people and we will find you and eat both your arms and then both of your legs and then we will eat your face right off your head. Do you understand?
Please.
Yes. So you will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind. Do you feel me?
What the hell are you?
We are Venom. On second thought.
Please.
Eddie? What was that?
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chan.
Parasite?
Yeah, it's a term of endearment, that's all.
Apologize!
No.
Apologize!
All right, fine. I'm sorry. So, what do you want to do now?
The way I see it, we can do whatever we want.
Let's open them up. Jim, get closer. Film this. Lungs have dried up. Label that.
Label it as what?
The heart is all shriveled up. The arteries are necrotic, but these tubular structures appear healthy.
It's a new circulatory system.
It's brand new flesh, but it's symmetrical. It's not random or cancerous. This is plaque, cartilage. It's a whole new set of organs has generated to repel this stinger.
Oh, is that the technical term for it, is it? Stinger? I feel like I'm choking just looking at it. Smell.
Ammonia discharge, like guano,
Same as on the plane.
in Bishop's body.
That's enough. This is disgusting. Just call it in, F. God damn it, just call it in.
Jim.
No, this thing just shot a 6-foot python out of its mouth. Its dick is gone, and it just squirted a shitload of shit all over the table, and you got your hands everywhere. Like, what the hell is going on?
It's a parasitic mechanism. This is rewriting human biology.
Why? Why is it doing that?
So it can reproduce and consume its host.
A medical mystery solved. A woman started acting strangely, and initially surgeons thought that she had a brain tumor.
But when they opened her up, a surprising find. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres spoke to her about the bizarre diagnosis.
The good news is I don't have cancer.
That's also surprising news because doctors at Mount Sinai Hospital thought just the opposite until last September when neurosurgeons opened up Rachel Palma's skull. They fully expected to find a marble-sized malignant brain tumor. Instead, they found a parasite.
We were like overjoyed. We were like cheering and clapping. We were so happy in the OR. When we got in there and we saw that it was actually a tapeworm, we were like, yes, we were so happy.
It was January of last year when strange things started happening to the 42-year-old from Middletown. She'd suddenly drop her coffee mug. She couldn't remember words. She tried calling deceased relatives. After countless doctor visits and numerous brain scans, specialists at Mount Sinai found the problem and developed a plan of attack, a 3-hour surgery.
This is the lesion, right? And you can see how it enhances this very bright white here, and inside of it is dark. Yep. And you see the same thing here.
The big mystery to this story, how the parasite got there. The patient never traveled outside the United States. She doesn't recall eating uncooked meat. Frankly, she's given up trying to find an answer.
I stopped asking questions and started celebrating and making the most out of life because in an instant it can be taken away.
Doctors say had they known it was a tapeworm and not a tumor causing all the problems, perhaps a heavy dose of antibiotics would have served as a remedy, but that doesn't faze Rachel Palma.
There's not a doubt in my mind that they saved my life, and they gave me my life back.
A life temporarily hijacked by a parasite.
What? Yes. No, Cardin, this is a thing. You have parasitic mind control in animals, like throughout nature. You see this in the mice. You see this in these zombie snails. Look up zombie snails.
Holy crap.
And zombie cicadas, like
zombie deer. Cardin, have you seen
zombie deer?
Yeah.
Zombie. Okay.
These are animals that are like infected by parasites that control their behavior in order to get that parasite to be able to continue reproducing.
Okay, so here's zombie snails. Hold on. I am turning down the volume of this because I have no idea what's going on. But here you see, oh my gosh, Nat Geo did something on this.
Yeah.
So these snails.
Yeah, look at the freaking eyes on that thing.
So these snails get infested by a parasite?
Yeah, and the parasite controls their behavior and then gets them to go out and, like, die.
There's a parasite in that snail?
Yeah, and then it gets eaten by birds, and that continues the parasite's life cycle, right?
There it is, my man. I mean, don't swallow that worm.
So,
Jeez, okay.
So, there is a lot of parasites within people. People who stars have an incredibly high amount of parasitic infection.
What?
Really?
Porn stars. Stars are riddled with parasites, and one of the reasons is because when you sorry, we're gonna have to.
Okay.
When you digest fecal matter, it automatically creates parasites in your stomach, and so when stars perform sex, and then right afterward they're ingesting any sort of bacteria that then goes into their stomachs and creates parasites, which is why stars have incredibly high parasitic infections and are incredibly suicidal. One, because of the fact that you can go out in the public and people could see, that you've been bing bing bing. But the other is because the mind control that comes from parasites that gets you to want to end your own life so they can infect more bodies is also constant. Which is why porn stars are also prone to incredibly violent outbursts. They're prone to a lot of erratic decisions, crazy stuff like that. So the parasitic infection. So these parasites are a form of demons that we don't really think about or recognize.
Like help stop some of these things, I guess. Maybe that's part of it.
And maybe the corrupt people in a lot of the Food and Drug Administration are creating products that will give us more parasites.
Well, and this is
which is why.
What do you mean? What are you thinking of?
No, I mean our fast food, our alcohol is full of parasites. It's horrible. It's so bad, and so people have more and more parasites because they're being taught just eat like crap, eat like crap, eat like crap. It's almost like the Doctrine and Covenants, in consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days. I give you this word of wisdom.
Oh,
well, man. And these, I got to say, this video that we pulled up, I noticed a little bit of the text
also,
that they
eat
had.
Sparingly. Another way, avoid parasites.
Well,
so look at this. These are things that doctors have noticed that parasites have the power to do, and it does sound a lot like what many of the ancients would call demons. They, quote, have the power to influence your mind and fill it with destructive thoughts, and apparently the Gandhi parasite, which is very common, has been linked now to schizophrenia. They can have the influence on the dream realm, manifesting as shadow beings during sleep paralysis. Your shadow beings.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? There we go.
Wait, okay.
Your shadow
so
beings.
These shadow beings are parasitic.
A dimensional veil that we don't want to be torn open even more by CERN.
Okay, and look at this right here. It also says that possession usually involves becoming sick or constantly tired, which is oftentimes a chronic fatigue manifestation that's talked a lot about in modern medicine. And then finally, to top it all off, the last one is that possession, as described, especially by the ancients in a way that we would modernly call parasites, says your spiritual powers and ambition begin to diminish. Hardcore, Kwaku. So, are spirits demons?
What?
Are parasites demons?
Oh, sorry, yeah, are parasites demons?
Parasites are demons, and you'd be surprised by the amount of people who have like all sorts of depression and they're behaving in very depraved, crazy ways, who take dewormer medicine and poop it out, and then they're like normal.
This is what AI says about our parasites, demons. The similarities are so close. And when I think back about the illnesses in the Bible, how God cast those demons into the swine and the swine drowned themselves. People who have demonic oppression or possessions, they don't look well. They're tired. They're mentally unstable. They're emotionally unstable. They're physically unstable. And then you go look at somebody that has a parasitic infestation. They're mentally unstable. They're emotionally unstable. They're physically unstable. So I think there's so many similarities here that you have to I mean, I'm not going to say that a demon has been reduced to a parasite. I will say this. I do believe that demons use them to diminish your body, because God says your body is the temple, right? And so I believe that if he can use that parasite to kill you faster, or to bring on disease and to end your life faster, or to take away your ability to do the things that God has called you to do, wouldn't that be a travesty?
I found this really interesting. There is a passage which is missing from newer versions of the Bible. So here we have the New International Version, and it's Matthew 17 where Jesus is telling his disciples how to heal people from demons. And they have a boy that suffers seizures and is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire, into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him, they say. And Jesus says, well, Jesus heals the boy first, and then they ask him, why couldn't we drive out this demon? And Jesus says, in the newer versions, he says, because you have so little faith. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. But what he also says is omitted, actually, in these new versions, because we got the footnote here telling you to refer to Mark 9:29. And if you look at the King James Version, verse 21, Jesus finishes his sentence by saying, however, this kind of demon does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So, yeah, curious that would be omitted from his teachings in the newer versions of the Bible.
We have found the mechanism by which a really common human parasite hijacks the host cell for its own benefit and potentially changes the behaviour of the host human that's living within. This parasite lays dormant in 30 to 80% of people, and one of the critical factors for this is their ability to store energy as starch. We've found the molecular mechanism by which they do so in order to establish this infection. Toxoplasma gondii is an extremely common pathogen. In fact, it infects 30 to 80% of people. And we pick it up either when we eat undercooked meat that harbours this pathogen, such as in lamb or beef, or we catch it from being exposed to cat poo, which harbours cyst forms of this parasite. Most people, it's not a problem. In fact, it will only present as mild flu-like symptoms. But it is a problem when you have a dampened immune system or when you're pregnant. There's been a really interesting link recently showing that people that have mental illness, specifically schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, have a greater likelihood to be infected by this parasite. And that is very interesting because the chronic form of this parasite lives within the brain. We've found the mechanism by which it exports its own proteins into the host cell that it's living within. And that is particularly exciting because it infects brain cells, and it may change the behaviour of those brain cells for its own purpose.
A 41-year-old man in Colombia with HIV infection presented with fatigue, fever, cough, and weight loss. He had been non-adherent to therapy with a recent CD4 count of 28 cells per cubic millimeter and a viral load of 70,000 copies per milliliter. Stool examination revealed Hymenopleus nana, or dwarf tapeworm, eggs. The patient received 3 doses of albendazole, and antiretroviral medications were reinstated. CT imaging showed lung, liver, and adrenal nodules of up to 4.4 centimeters, as well as cervical, mediastinal, and abdominal lymphadenopathy. Both lymph node excisional and lung core needle biopsies showed nests of undifferentiated cells. The cells were characteristic of cancer, but they appeared to be of non-human origin. PCR targeting eukaryotes identified Hymenopleus nana DNA. Although they were unrecognizable as tapeworm tissue, tapeworm immunohistochemistry and probe hybridization labeled the cells in situ. Comparative deep sequencing identified H. nana structural genomic variants that were compatible with mutations described in cancer. The proliferative cells had overt features of malignancy. They invaded adjacent tissue, had a crowded, disordered growth pattern, and were monomorphic, with a primordial stem cell-like morphology. The patient developed renal failure but declined hemodialysis, and he was placed on palliative care. In this case, the authors hypothesized that continued proliferation of tapeworms in the immunosuppressed host allowed somatic mutations to accumulate, ultimately leading to malignant transformation. Because HIV and H. nana infection are widespread, malignant transformation of H. nana may go unrecognized and may be misdiagnosed as human cancer,
and may be misdiagnosed as human cancer.
Are microorganism parasites actually physical-bodied demons? Now, there's a lot to cover in this subject, but first I would like to point to a biblical reference, one that not very many people are familiar with, as it was written in what is called the Essene Gospels of Peace, where Jesus supposedly kills a tapeworm and calls the tapeworm the face of Satan, or the head of Satan. In this story, Jesus draws the tapeworm out of a man who had been fasting to get rid of it and starving the tapeworm, and he draws it out with warm milk, and then he crushes the head of the tapeworm with 2 sharp stones, and the tapeworm was as long as his body was. Now, this is written in the Essene Gospels of Peace. This is not a biblically sound text. It was not added to the Bible for a reason. There's a lot of things in it that seem a little unusual and strange, so I would not recommend reading it without an advanced understanding of the already biblical text and the Holy Spirit guiding you. But it is very fascinating to see Jesus drawing out a tapeworm and referring to the tapeworm as the head of Satan. Another biblical reference is that Jesus declares that some of these sicknesses only go out through prayer and fasting. Typically, this fasting refers to the person that is praying. However, in the Essene Gospels of Peace, the people at the river were actually the ones fasting to cure themselves of their sicknesses. And interestingly, many bacteria and parasites are scientifically known to die off when you fast. There's another interesting connection. It's called the trichinosis worm. This parasite gets into your muscles and causes pain and aches throughout your body. It is also found to get into the brain of people from eating undercooked meat, specifically pork. And isn't that interesting that in the Bible, the Lord originally deemed pork as an unclean meat? And it happens to be one of the most parasitically infused animals today. Of course, now today we have better forms of preservation and forms to keep the meat more clean and less infected. But it's fascinating before this time that the Lord deemed this meat unclean. It's almost as if the Lord knew. Now, as a deliverance minister, there are many different types of sickness that we deal with and encounter, and not everything is directly demonic. In fact, there's different types of healing that take place in prayer and deliverance. There is some types of sickness where you might get from constantly doing the same action over and over and over, throwing your arm, and then you begin to get pain in that arm. Or there may be a sickness that you broke your arm and there is pain from that broken arm. Okay, these sicknesses are physical-bodied sicknesses and oftentimes only simply need prayer for healing. But other sicknesses in your body that are not directly correlated with physical attachments oftentimes are demonic in nature, or even parasitic. Sicknesses like spontaneous cancers, or reoccurring things that come and go, or even genetic diseases. Interestingly, the Aramaic word for demon is jinn. Isn't that funny that we call it genetic diseases? It makes you wonder if it's an actual sickness or a generational curse. You see, many of these diseases and many of these spontaneous sicknesses that are unexplainable and doctors can't seem to find a solution often are connected to demons and parasites. Another interesting topic is STIs or STDs. These are also a form of parasitic infection. I prefer to call them sexually transmitted demons. And we would have eradicated them all by now, much like we supposedly eradicated polio. However, we can't do that to STIs and STDs because they tend to occur spontaneously in people that are living in infidelity and being promiscuous. In fact, in sexually promiscuous environments, there is often arguments of blame, where one partner will get the disease and another won't. and it seems to be unclear where or who the sexually transmitted disease actually came from. You see, I believe sexually transmitted diseases are parasites that were created by demonic influences, and they have the freedom to move about into people that are being wicked and promiscuous. And if you were to get an STD, the proper performance would be to turn to the Lord, repent for your sexual ways, and ask and beg Him for healing and deliverance, that the disease will leave your body. Unfortunately today, many people simply turn to pharmakia, which is a root word for witchcraft, to get healed from the STD, to continue living in this promiscuous way. However, it doesn't always fully cure it, and somehow later partners will get the same disease that a person had previously, even though they no longer have it. And that's because even though the demon is no longer affecting the person, it may follow that person and find a new host. Now, I had in the past prayed for somebody who showed many symptoms of parasitic infection, and I cursed every wicked parasite in their body to wither and die, like when Jesus cursed the fig tree to wither and die. And they were on the toilet for the next 2 days, and things did leave their body, and they felt extremely better therein after. So the ability to command parasites to die and leave is the same authority that we are given to speak to demons that affect people's minds. However, a lot of people's faith lacks in this department, and it's much easier to do a parasitic cleanse or a detox to purge the demonic parasites out of your body. And of course, you can also fast, which works extremely well at cleansing your body from parasitic infections. Now, parasites don't always just affect your health. In fact, some parasites can actually affect your mind and persuade you to be more erratic, like toxoplasmosis, known as the crazy cat lady parasite. This parasite causes men to be more erratic, drive motorcycles. In fact, they did a study and found a large majority of men that die in motorcycle accidents tend to be infected with the toxoplasmosis parasite. Now that sounds a whole lot more like a speed demon to me. There's also a type of bacteria that can cause you to gain weight excessively, as well as a type of bacteria that can cause you to lose weight, interestingly enough. There are likely several types of parasites in the world that affect many of the sicknesses in people's systems and even in their thinking. Now, whether parasites themselves are the physical body of demons, or whether they are microorganisms easily possessed by demons to do their parasitic effects that they have on humans, I don't really know. But what I do know is that Jesus said, "All authority on heaven and on earth has been given unto me, therefore now go." He gave that authority unto you. You have the authority to command parasites and demons to wither and die and to leave your body now in the name of Jesus.
The demonic parasites. Are parasites actually demons in biological form? The existence of parasites that have the ability to hijack a person's mind sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, such as the movie The Faculty. The Faculty is a science fiction movie about high school teachers being controlled and taken over by otherworldly parasites. As the old saying goes, art imitates life, and truth is far stranger than fiction. In ancient China, the Taoists had a very interesting belief concerning parasites. The Taoists believe in a concept known as the three worms. The Sanqi, 3 corpses, or Sangcheng, 3 worms, are a Taoist physiological belief that demonic creatures live inside the human body and they seek to hasten the death of their host. These 3 supernatural parasites allegedly enter the person at birth and reside in the 3 Dantian energy centers, respectively located within the head, chest, and abdomen. After their human host dies, they are freed from the body and become malevolent spirits. The 3 corpses work to harm their host's health and fate by initiating sickness, inviting other disease-causing agents into the body, and reporting their host's transgressions to the gods. The usual English translation of Sanji is 3 corpses. However, this Taoist term does not literally refer to corpses as in dead bodies within the human body, but is linguistically causative, meaning the eventual death, mortality, produced by these demonic agents. Now, I myself am not a Taoist, nor do I believe in Taoism. However, I believe they have a very good point about parasites being demons in biological form. Parasites and demons are incredibly similar, if not the exact same. They are two sides to the same coin. In fact, demons are often called spiritual parasites. A parasite is a biological organism that lives and feeds off of its hosts and causes mental and physical illness. They are known to feed off of their host's negative emotional energy and are known to bring the host physical and mental illness. Studies have shown that parasites are able to cause severe mental illnesses such as schizophrenia. Scientists have discovered how the toxoplasmosis parasite may trigger the development of schizophrenia and other bipolar disorders. They have shown that the parasite may play a role in the development of these disorders. Clinical studies frequently report that patients with major mental illness, such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, have comorbid physical conditions, suggesting that systematic alterations affecting both brain and peripheral tissue might underlie the disorders. Numerous studies have reported elevated levels of anti-T-Gandhi antibodies in patients with major mental illnesses. The T-Gandhi parasites are so powerful that they can hijack a person's mind and alter humans' sexual desires and influence humans to engage in abnormal sexual practices such as BDSM and have an attraction to sexual violence.
So anyways, this is another layer that a lot of people don't want to talk about, is because parasites are something that when you look at them, like I said, what do you think these things could be? Just think about it. These parasites that don't have genetic genomes similar to ours at all, so they're not from us, okay, they have a directive inside the body or in anything, pretty simple, right? To be able to find a host, become mature, reproduce, and start the life cycle over and over and over again. Remember, a parasite needs a warm body. They're cold-blooded, okay? Just like reptiles, okay? Just like fish, cold-blooded. So if they're cold-blooded, they need a warm-blooded thing. Could be an animal, any type of creature. Even ones that are cold-blooded parasites have, right? Fish have a lot of parasites. Remember the fish tapeworm. Check out what this thing looks like. Man, it can grow up to 60 feet inside anybody, okay? So parasites are, to me, this is what I've been connecting together over, remember, 40 years of looking into these demons, because that's what I see them as now. Remember, they live in the dark, they drink your blood, they poop inside you, okay? And these are things that, well, wouldn't be too heavenly, right? So they must come from some other place, maybe from hell, so they say, right? Like when we say hell-lo, right? Who came up with that one? So, anyways, so when you know about just the word, even, parasite in Gematria is 33, okay? So there's a lot of different things that actually go hand in hand with just parasites alone, because parasites, remember, they're not really known to that many people at all, and unless maybe you get sick and a doctor's going to go ahead and actually know that you are most likely infected with some type of foreign creature, some type of foreign entity, okay? Parasites, what are they? Remember, they don't add one thing to your body, so they're not necessary for any of us to have. And anybody says, oh, parasites they're symbiotic. Some are, is because they're not killing you, right? But they are killing you slowly as they poop inside the body and cause a dysfunction and cause it you can call it, pooping in the body. Think about that. You have an entity that lives inside of our 18 gallons of water. Could live in your intestines. It could live in your liver, your organs, right? Any organ. Brain, kidney, spleen, liver. Could live in your muscles. A lot of people have sore muscles. Could live in your bones. A lot of people have arthritis. Okay, remember, connect the dots. A lot of people have gum disease. Why do you have gum disease? Think about it. You brush your teeth too hard? And that may be a problem, especially with abrasive stuff, and you're constantly maybe, causing some type of inflammation to the mouth. But if you have certain creatures that live in there, the tissue that has been now damaged or has taken its slime coat off, which is a protective coating that the body puts out inside itself to make it so, just like parasites do. Parasites, they have a slime coat just like a snail does, right? If you take that biofilm slime coat away, then the body senses these things inside us. Is because they can't sense them because maybe they have that cloak, okay, of mucus around them that makes them so the system cannot sense electricity because it's shielded, right? It's got a shield on it. So parasites and demons, it's just a concept to get into your head. If you felt that you were possessed by these creatures, and we knew these creatures called parasites are called demons, that means you're possessed by demons. Doesn't matter if it's spirochetes, amoebas, okay, all different types. Remember, there's you can say hundreds of thousands of types of parasites. We only know a few of them. But what we do know about is that these creatures have the most fantastic life cycles, and they use a lot of vectors to be able to pass their way into a living host. A lot of vectors. And vector is a way that you go ahead and get infected, like a mosquito, right? A chigger, a flea. Anything that's going to inject something in you is going to also give you an injection of something in it. Okay, it's swapping blood with you. Remember the mosquito pulling out blood. How many people a year get sick from malaria? How about how many people die from malaria, right? Look that up. Got over like 1 million people a year, millions of people to get sick. They have no idea why they get the cold, why they get the flu. Could it be possible, again, that your sickness is parasitical? Your sickness is also maybe because of your environment, because of low oxygen, right? Low oxygen. And how would you know you have low oxygen? Well, a lot of different things, but why do you have low oxygen is the key. Is it because maybe you're wearing the diapers, okay, constantly all the time, breathing your abdominal bacteria into your lungs? Could be. Are you smoking all the time? That'll lower your blood oxygen. Are you breathing toxic fumes all the time? Do you live indoors in heating or air conditioning? Remember, that air is not as oxygenated as you think. It's gone through a furnace or gone through a processor, right? Like an air conditioner, to go ahead and process that air cold. Do you think it keeps its charge? It loses its charge.
97% didn't make it. 2,000, they showed me his harvest for 15 minutes span of time. 15 minutes span of time. That occurred August 3rd, 1979, from where the paramedic judged my body to be dead until it arrived at the hospital. In that 15 minutes, I was allowed to see 50 saints that go into heaven. That was the sum total of his harvest on planet Earth for 15 minutes span of time. In that same 15 minutes, 1,900 more people died. 950 more died. Only 50 out of 2,000 made it, 2.5%. Dovetails with just exactly what he said in Matthew 7. For many will say to me in that day, but Lord, Lord, have we not preached in your name? Have we done many marvelous works in your name? In your name have we done all this work? And he will say, depart from me, and I knew you, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. You were never saved. Not that you were saved one day and turned your back. I never knew you. You were never mine. 2.5%. Now, they let me see that because on August 3rd, 1979, that was the condition of the planet Earth. Had that been the day the trumpet would have blown so loud it would wake the dead, he would have got 2.5% of the population of the world. 2.5%. He allowed me to tour the second heaven, which is Satan's kingdom. He allowed me to tour the whole kingdom and see the different spirits that it has. I remember in the seminary we had professors come and tell us one time teaching how to go to heaven was like climbing the mountains. They got somebody come up that side, somebody up this side, somebody up this. But when they get there, they're all at the top. Well, right now that's a doctrine that's very popular in the Christian church. You're a good old boy, you're going to make it and all that stuff. God loves you, don't worry about it. Hey, we got the devil under his feet and he's laughing all the way to the bank.
salvation, a resurrection for our Father.